Wagwan Grapple fans and Eid Mubarak to anyone that is currently celebrating or was or will be. I'm not quite sure how all of it works, but Eid Mubarak nonetheless. And welcome everybody to a special solo edition of the Wrestling with Egos podcast, because you see, I was the first one at Wrestling with Egos that was able to climb the ladder of awesomeness, and I obtained the Ego in a Bank briefcase, and it was definitely not because I was the only person available, so I was pretty much what you're stuck with. It was definitely not the latter, it was the former. Mr. Cornette, hit the jingle. Saturday, and you know what, it's kind of serendipitous that I'm going to be doing this myself alone today, because of course, as you all know, Money in the Bank this year is coming from jolly old England, and you may not know, but I am also coming from jolly old England. In any direction I can come, it is from jolly old England. See, hold on, Wabadoo, Wabadoo. Yeah, so if I wanted to, for what is a very rare thing to be able to do in England as a wrestling fan, I could go jump on the train. Doesn't take me long to get to London because I go there regularly at the moment. It's kind of my main place that I do comedy gigs at the moment. That is London, so I'm focusing on right now. And yeah, not far at all. I might even go down there and try and say hello to any of the people, you know, any of the rest. I won't do it at all. I'm not one of these people that wants to go and meet all your wrestlers that you love. Don't want to go and bother them at the airport or whatever. I don't really care that much when I meet famous people. I mean, you know, it's the circles that I'm in myself now. I'm in those comedy circles. I meet a lot of famous people. What can I say? I was recently having good chats with that Britain's Got Talent winner, for example. Just can't help but be around all the best. Best breeds the best, you see. Just we bring each other in, you know, just how it goes. But I am Kd, and as I've already said, as is normally referred to by my other Wrestling with Ego cohorts as the guy across the pond, because this is just the pond and there's definitely not an ocean in the middle. But on that pond, on the other side of it from here, this is now there on the other side of it, you got Brian Krieger and Patrick Sofford. They are not able to be here in person, of course, as I said, but they are always here in spirit in general, because I'm doing the predictions, but I've also got their predictions, so we're going to see what they think. You'll find out what I think. What do we think won't be thought about? What do we think will be over thought about? What do we think is going to happen that won't happen, that may possibly set up something that will happen and not happen in the future? I don't know. Let's find out. So we are kicking off first then with the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther versus Matt Riddle. I've always been a fan of both of these people. Gunther, I didn't know too much about him. I didn't know much about him when he was Walter. So when he went to Gunther, I mean, I didn't care, in all honesty. Gunther is an absolutely acceptable name. More so than it would have been if they'd have had the last name included too, but they didn't, so thank God we ain't got to worry about that. That would have been a bit more. Well, actually, I suppose the last name, maybe now Gunther and Zoe Stark can have a baby, and old Vinnie Mac will still get what he wanted in the long run. Hey, yeah, who knows? So, let's have a look. First of all, what Patrick thinks. Patrick's prediction for this will be that Gunther will retain. Brian is the same. He thinks Gunther will retain. And I, going out on a limb and saying that I think Gunther will retain. Gunther's definitely going to retain here. I mean, you know what? It's going to be a very good match. It's going to be an exceptionally good match. But I don't think anyone really looks at this and sees that, you know, because we're like, 3 months away from Gunther's breaking the Honky Tonk Man's Intercontinental Championship record. And I don't see them, you know, like cutting that short a few months away to give it to Matt Riddle. I love Matt Riddle. I think Matt Riddle's great. I've cooled down a bit on him lately, but I think it's just because I hadn't been using him. Like when I use him right, I get into it. And with Randy Orton, apparently, possibly in one of these little rumours we've heard about, with the possibility of Randy Orton coming back at Money in the Bank, maybe we'll see the inevitable RKO breakdown, RK Bro breakdown, sorry, which we always assumed was coming eventually, but it hadn't yet, and it was quite nice. Even if they just go back to being the tag team again, I'll be more than happy personally. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Matt Riddle in that position. I think Matt Riddle could definitely go further and be title contendership and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I think there's other people that are a bit more higher up in that pecking order that are still waiting to go. So I think Matt Riddle can definitely do it. It's just I don't really see them giving him that opportunity at the moment. Maybe for the Intercontinental title event, well, definitely like the Intercontinental title or the US title, that they could definitely do. And it's been another good shout for the Money in the Bank, because that's always a good way to get the world title on someone to try it out to see how it feels. A la, loads of them done it, and like Dolph Ziggler back in the day. Look at the recent ones. You got like your Big E, for example. So yeah, but now Intercontinental title today, I think it is completely fair to say that we are going to put Gunther as the clear favourite there. And we are doing this in the order that WWE have done, so that to me probably shows the order they think they will either go on, or order of how good each one is. But then again, if that's true, then it'd be strange for this one to go on next, because next up is Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, this is a bit of a random match, I thought. Just kind of been not pulled out of nowhere, because it has been building up to it, obviously, but I mean the fact that they had to have feud to begin with was kind of out of nowhere. Like Cody's going against all these people. I'm assuming the idea is behind it that it's just as soon as Cody gets his hands on Dominic, he's just going to squash him basically. But it seems a bit of a weird way to use Cody Rhodes with how hot he is still at the moment. It seems like a weird way to use Cody Rhodes in a pay-per-view to me. It seems really weird. I mean, he could have just thrown him in the Money in the Bank, even if you don't want him to win this way, which I don't think I would want him to win that way either. Just going by how he started the story, finishing the story as he put it, etc. The whole thing with Roman Reigns, I think it might be good eventually if he goes over and takes it from Reigns still at some point. Maybe he is the one still that takes it from Reigns. It's just not going to be right now. Yeah, this just seems a bit random to me, but I mean, looking at what Patrick and Brian say, yeah, they both agree that this is going to be a win for Cody, probably because of all the reasons I just said right then, because when it comes down to it, Dominic is nowhere near on Cody's level, and it's just pretty obvious that is. For anyone to argue that, then I don't know, you're lying. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to us, worst of all, you're lying to Dominic Mysterio and Mummy. Mummy don't like being lied to. No. And with that in mind, I don't want to get on the wrong side of Mummy, and I won't by saying that I actually think Dom might win this. My pick for this is Dominic Mysterio, because for me, just for Cody to go in and beat him, even more so, I'm like, well, what was the point? I mean, why did we need any of this? It's obvious that Cody was going to beat him, so what, he just sneakily slapped him a few times just for him to make a match of Money in the Bank. I mean, they could have done this on Raw and it would have, So to me, I reckon maybe there'll be obviously heavily shenaniganery from Mammy and maybe other people too. Maybe this is when we'll see what's the guy's name? JD McDonough now. Previously, what was his name before? Jordan Devlin. I think it was Jordan Devlin on it. The guy who just kind of looks like like he could be the twin of, or the son, maybe, of Finn Balor. I'm not too sure what the age difference is there, because they're both specimens, so you can't tell always. But yeah, I'm going for Dominic Mysterio in that, and I know it's not cool, but I think it is exceptionally cool. So yeah, go with that. Next up then on it is the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. This will be Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, the champions, defending against Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. This came back I think 2 weeks ago or something after one of the title matches. I think that was it. And then Raquel Rodriguez was there. Of course, she got into a bit of a smooth after it with the two. She walked back down after wasn't going to, and then introduced Liv Morgan, which didn't really make sense because if you weren't going to go back to the ring, then how was Liv Morgan going to appear? Even though you said obviously that you'd bring her back at this point, because that'd be very rude to do if you hadn't harassed her. You're just she's just there, munching on a random Twinkie in catering, and all of a sudden she hears Raquel on the monitor at the back is she's back, Liv Morgan. I don't know if she said her name, but she's back. She's like, it wouldn't be nice to do. Wouldn't that be nice to do at all? So for that reason, I think no. So yeah, that just came out of nowhere then a little bit, So I'm gonna switch it up this time. I'm gonna go first. I think that I don't know why I'm pretending to be unsure about this. It's obvious. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, they ain't gonna lose the titles yet. It would be silly if they did. If they did, they should definitely win it back instantly anyway. But it's just pointless. Just let them keep the titles. I actually think those two can, make the tag titles seem more important, because I say more important. They can make them seem important at all, because right now they don't feel in the slightest bit important. But they can hopefully build it up. And I think they can. Ronda Rousey's obviously got, the name value and all that. And I think Shayna Baszler has got the skill more out of the two. Personally, I very, very much think that Shayna Baszler is a much better, I don't know about athlete, but a much better wrestler. Much better professional wrestler. Just all around, really. Let's have a look, see what Patrick and actually I can remember what they thought. They both agreed that this was going to be a Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler win. So we all agreed on this one. Can't really see them losing the belts. I think it would be quite a misstep if they did. But it doesn't mean I don't think it could happen, because this is WWE and Vince McMahon is still buzzing around. And let's just be honest as well, Triple H is not the creative master that some people like to put him over as. It's just compared to what we've had. And what we've still got in other companies, to be honest, he's much better. But yeah, maybe he is good actually in that case then. Yeah. But next on the money in the back, the next rung on this pay-per-view ladder. The next rung, I don't know about that. Going back to Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, actually, it is interesting because Raquel Rodriguez obviously hasn't been around for a while. Liv Morgan obviously hasn't been around for a while. If I remember correctly, they never actually lost the belts, did they? It was just a case that she was injured, I believe. Liv Morgan, got injured after one of the matches. I can't remember what kind of injury it was. I could have a look. I've got a computer right in front of me now, but I don't really know if that's professional to do. I mean, as long as I keep talking while I do it, I guess, then why not? So, Liv Morgan injury. Let's have a look what it was. 11th of June. Apparent shoulder injury. Oh. There's naturally a bit poor here about her being in a bikini, having an injury. I don't know why the two go together, but okay. I want to see the story here about LA Knight in a bikini. That's what we all want to see. Mankining it up, innit? Did it say here what? Oh, that was it. Yes, I completely forgot about that. See, this shows how unimportant these titles are. I completely forgot that they were recently unified with the NXT tag titles that Isla Dawn and Alba Fire brought up from NXT, which, okay, fine. I get it. I did think when they brought up the NXT tag titles, I was like, do they really have enough female tag teams in NXT to warrant that though? And apparently they realised no, they don't. Because here we are, and they've just kind of, they unified, but they are just the women's tag titles, So I assume now they can go down to NXT, or they always used to do that anyway, didn't they? I mean, the brand split is already dead. Brand split, LOL, already. Somebody said the other day that was recently, I think it was Dana Brooke, that was traded to Raw or NXT and she just basically came up saying in NXT that she could go anywhere she wants. So yeah, God knows. I don't mind myself. I don't think it has to be quite. A lot of people are like, well, if it's going to be there, it's going to be like, you gotta. Calm down. It's just wrestling, guys. Not the end of the world. I love my wrestling. I always have, and I hope to God I always will, in some manner or form. But, chill. More important things in the world, you know. But arguably not more important things than the Raw main event, you could probably argue, for this show, the World Heavyweight Championship, which will feature the champion Seth freaking Rollins versus Finn Balor. Before I say anything else, Seth, please stop doing the thing where at the end of your entrance you stand in the ring in the quiet with your eyes closed in that pose, because already twice, I swear, definitely at least twice, somebody has come from behind you and attacked you, and you don't always do it, that pose thing, but when you do, out of the times that you've done it, it's got a very bad ratio of how well it works for you or goes against you. Stop doing it. And it's just annoying, to be honest. It's like you're forcing it at that point. I mean, it's amazing how that song has got over so much, you know. It's not surprising how Seth Rollins got over so well, because he's Seth freaking Rollins. Is so good. The fact that he's managed to turn one of his main weaknesses into one of his main strengths now is great with the mic work. I remember seeing him on some documentary, obviously it must have been a WWE one, where he was saying about, you know, he couldn't figure out that side of it, and that was something he struggled with until something kind of clicked in his head with like the character work and that, and now this is what led him to, as he refers to it, the Drip God version of Seth Rollins, which is funny because I've never referred to it as that. I never would imagine anybody else has referred to it as that. I get it. I get why he calls it that, but it's a very strange way to... It's a very interesting choice is a better way to put it, I guess. But whatever. Whatever he's doing is working, apparently. But the same is true, though. This is the thing. The same is true for his opponent, because Finn right now is on a tear. The whole Judgment Day is on a tear right now. They're definitely one of the hottest acts on Raw. Can't be doubted. You know, Seth Balor / Judgment Day. You know, all of them up there. Like the stuff that he was doing the other day, as I mentioned, when Seth stands there doing that pose, Finn was one of the people that attacked him recently and beat the crap out of him, which arguably I think was probably a better little bit than what was originally planned, because that was what Vince changed. That was a Vinceism, and I like that Vinceism. I wasn't so hot on what Triple H wanted to do, but at the same time that had been planned for days and days, and probably a better part of a week at least. So you should have still gone with that, because they've had time to think about how to do it and get the timings and all that, which is why, yes, I understand completely. I'm doing something and then last minute I'll be like, this is a really good alternative, actually. I think I like this. And every part of me wants to just shove it in as well, you know, add it in there, like into, if I'm writing a bit, like for a gig or something, you know, whatever. But you don't want to always do that. It doesn't work. You know, you need time to really germinate on something. And sometimes when you write something the first time, it's not as good when you read it back the second time, and you need time to do that. Whereas, you know, a couple of hours before the show starts, that's not... Well, when the show starts, that's not the best... You know, you haven't got much time to germinate on the idea. Maybe keep it for next week. But, you know, try and tell a mustachioed billionaire that's going to be crazy to do that. And... see what happens, I guess. But I mean, undoubtedly this is gonna be a really good match, because when you look at the history that is going into this, the history around this match, like, I mean, just going back, and it was, I forget how long ago it was now. It was a good at least like 5 years ago. I feel like it was much longer than that. It got to be nearer to like 7 years, nearer to a decade, something like that. But obviously we had Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins at the end of the tournament to crown the first ever Universal Heavyweight Champion, when it was their big red title on Raw. Love that belt design in general, which they're still using now, but the colours and stuff. And I don't like these new gold versions they're bringing out. They look a bit cheap to me. I was still a fan of just the original WWE title bring that. I'm trying to remember who brought that into existence. I feel like it might have been The Rock, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like The Rock might have brought that into existence when CM Punk had the old John Cena title, when he was doing his Summer. Well, it wasn't Summer Punk, it was the big long title reign. Summer Punk was a bit before, wasn't it? But the main title reign, the long one he had, Punk. Yeah, I think. I don't know. But yeah, obviously they had that match, where they were going for the final, and Balor won. But in that match, Seth Rollins injured him by doing the buckle bomb on the outside, which is, it's not really Seth's fault as much as it is Finn's fault. It's just stuff happens, because you could argue Seth shouldn't have done it, or maybe he did it a bit wonky or something. But Balor also shouldn't have put his arm down. It's you can't really throw blame around either way. It's just these things happen sometime. There are situations, of course, where you definitely can put on blame, but this wasn't one of them. But it's great to use that, though, because everyone's aware of it, to use that in this story now, and it all works so well, the way it's come about. I can't remember if Finn won a match for number one contendership or not. I feel like he just started beating him up and got angry. I might be wrong about that. It doesn't really matter, though, because the winner of this match is just... I'm still trying to decide in my head who is going to win. Because the easy, obvious choice is Seth, obviously, because he's only been the champ for a few months or so now. As much as that title is beautiful as well. I love that title. He's only been champ for a few months or so now, if that. It seems a bit weird, it seems a bit strange to take it off him this early. But Finn's doing awesome. The Judgment Day is awesome. It would be a really cool idea to see the world champion in there, and having Finn get that opportunity again, which, he had everything just taken away from him completely after that. Vince is like, as soon as a newbie gets injured, he's like, oh, he's accident prone, can't be doing this, etc., blah. So this is the first time he's really believably... Obviously, he's had matches in the past with, Reigns, I believe, at Extreme Rules, when the Demon was defeated by a top rope. But, I mean, if you want to count them, sure, count them. I personally would like to strike them from my memory. It's not even that I'm a massive Finn Balor fan or anything. It's just, I don't want to see no wrestler get got like that. That's just mean. No, it was silly. Mean to us. Dumb. Mean to him. Dumb. Mean to Roman, because he was there as well. Anyone in that building, it was just an insult to everyone. And yeah, he had the fish flopping before that, though. I hope to God that was a last minute thing that was thrown on them, and it wasn't something they thought about for a while. Because if that's the best you could do when you thought about it, I mean, come on, you got no one else to blame in that case. So what? You should have taped yourself doing this thing, because you didn't look like you were having a heartbeat. The only bit that wasn't moving was your heart, while the rest of your body was moving, but your chest was staying down, which is a bit apparently was beating. That makes sense. Think about it. It's a bit late now, but think about it harder next time. Or just don't do it ever again. That's better. Just about the Demon seems to have been retired now, so who knows. But for this match then, I am going to pick, I believe, as much as I like the idea of Finn Balor being the champ, I am going to go for Seth freaking Rollins, because we all just want to sing that song still. We want to go, whoa, 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 whoa. Bum, 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 ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. So let's have a look see then. So that is it from me then. I'm just checking. Okay, so Patrick believes that Rollins will also win. Patrick is on side with moi. He thinks that Seth is going to retain the world title, whereas Brian, going a little bit renegade, he believes that Finn Balor will win. Like I said, for all the reasons before, I am very into the idea of that. But I don't think it will happen though. When I weigh the two up, I just don't see them, especially, like Triple H doing that with Seth taking the title off him so early, because it's very obvious that he is a huge fan. He's a huge fan of Seth. He's a huge fan of Finn too. That is also obvious, which is why This has been done well. It's going to be a good match. We'll be given good time, good placement on the show as well, I imagine. So all of the above. It's the only world title that's been defended after all. Money in the Bank. So it should have some good placement on the card. But other than that, yeah, I think it's a definite. I think this is quite a certainty myself. I would be very surprised if Finn won this. Put it that way. But it's not. It's in no way one of the most certain ones of the night. Definitely not though. And then the final match before we get into the titular event will be the civil war of the bloodline. You got the Usos, Jimmy and Jay versus Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. I mean, yeah, the storyline going into this has been obviously amazing. All in all, for however long it's been kind of dragging a bit lately though. Gotta be honest, I've been a bit of a chore to kind of be like, okay, do something else now. It's kind of the same thing. But then you had the Usos, turning on Reigns, which, I didn't see it coming at that point. I thought it was all just going to go back to the status quo, which I'm still, in all fairness, I still kind of think it might. I think it might just go back to the bloodline of old, back to the Usos, back with Roman and Solo. Maybe he'll try and be a bit nicer for a bit. Probably not, though. Maybe he'll just offer them more money, or the family will force them, or they'll just be like, oh, okay, we want to save that tribal chief. I don't, God knows. But I still think the status quo will probably come back. But ignoring that, though, this matching, it's going to be what I hope will be like a lot of Roman's matches, because they're different. It's not so much about the crazy spots and that like we see from other companies. It's more about story. You get a lot of talking, like dialogue in the ring of him talking to the opponents. I want to see a lot of that, which he has to do surely. Shouting things at his cousins, as because the Usos are going to get beaten down by Roman and Solo probably through most of the match, in my opinion. But the Usos are going to, obviously do a lot of host spots and all that. And it's going to be a proper hard-fought match. Like, it's not going to be a quick, easy one. I'll be very disappointed if anybody goes for like a quick pinfall after like a move at the beginning, because it's like, come on, it is a civil war and you apparently want to end it after like a minute. Come on. I mean, Roman should be angry. Solo just follows Roman. The Usos are angry. They kicked him in the face a couple of times the other night. So it'd be dumb if that happens, but it happens a lot in matches. When you actually think about it, these people hate each other, yet they're going for a pin within a minute, and it's like, why? I thought you wanted to hurt him. What are you talking about? I remember when Ryan Seal did it when he was facing Dominic Mysterio, and I was like, well, what kind of lesson was that going to teach him after a minute? You just beat him. But like in a silly way, it's like, always watch what you're doing. And, oh, God knows. I don't know. My brain hurts trying to think about wrestling logic sometimes. Love my wrestling, like I said, but it is highly illogical. It's a highly illogical program. If films were put together like this, then the old Rotten Tomatoes would get thrown around a bit more, I think, in more directors' faces. And if soaps were like this, if soaps were like this, it would be a bit of an improvement in England, especially any soaps that are on Channel 4 that really like Oaks and Holly. Yeah. But trying to decide who I think would win. It's a very hard one. It's hard to really put it together, because it could go either way, in my opinion. When you think about it, you could see the Usos winning, because obviously they're going against no one, and this is going to really cement their point of getting out. Obviously it would be Solo that would take the loss. Maybe, actually, I mean, it could be more interesting if Roman was the one that took the pin. That could be much more interesting. See how it changed the dynamics of everything going forward and stuff, and his title match, the way he feels in the title stuff, he could have like a bit of a crisis of confidence, for example, because of it. It could be very interesting, but I would be surprised. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I am of the opinion that I think Roman and Solo will win. I think there'll be a lot of chances. We'll really believe, like, that the Usos could win or are about to win, but then I just think they might, like a spike, a whatever it is, how Solo does. It's completely gone out of my mind now. You do a splash? Maybe? Oh no, it's the spinning solo. That's it. He does that as well. The spinning rock bottom thing. Yeah, a couple of spears, a couple of punches to the face. I think, they'll get beaten personally. So that's my prediction. I think that the Usos are going to lose the Civil War to Roman and Solo. But it's more about what happens after and ongoing that I find more interesting anyway. When Roman decides he can be asked to turn up for work anyway. So like 3 weeks probably. But looking at the other guys, we have, I believe, everybody is of the opinion that Roman and Solo will win this match. Let me just double check that, because I've realised that as I've been doing this, I haven't written down all the Patricks, you see, because I am such the epitome of organisation that I don't even realise sometimes that, I've organised it so well I forget things. Some people might see that as unorganisation, not organised. I think they're incorrect, and I could prove that I am right if I knew where my notes were. I'll find them later. But actually, I was wrong, Patrick is not of the opinion that we shared. Patrick actually thinks the Usos will win, which I can totally see. It'd be very interesting. That would probably be, out of what I want, what I would like to happen, it probably would be that. I probably would like the Usos to win. I just don't see it happening. But I would love to be wrong in that situation. That never happens. What are we talking about? KD, wrong. Never. It never not happens. Never happens. No. Blood. But what will happen, and I'm still unsure whether there'll be an extra person added into this, because the men's Money in the Bank has got 7 people, but the women's that we're going to focus on now is 6 people. It will include Io Sky, Bailey, Selena Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Starks, and for her first time in her career appearing in a ladder match, which is crazy, Trish Stratus. So, great lineup there for the women's match this year. Really happy to see Zelina in there. She's really probably the one that's done the best out of the LWO stuff. It's been kind of, like on the back burner a bit lately though. If it wasn't for them saying it, you'd forget. Which I guess is the point though. And wearing the shirts. Okay, ignore that. But they haven't been doing that much. I would like very much for Selena to win this. But there ain't a chance that that's going to happen. It would not make any sense at all. And I think the same is true for Bailey. I don't think there's any storyline reason why it would be good, why, there's not anything interesting there to sink your teeth into with Bailey being the Money in the Bank holder. I mean, Damage Control already feels like it's breaking a bit, and if Io Sky won it, then I would much prefer that, and that would actually make me still interested in the Damage Control thing, despite what I just said, because that would be a different dynamic. Io Sky, obviously, I think is starting to go a bit more face anyway, more of a good guy, but this, because she's a fan favourite, but this might cement it more, and seeing Bailey get annoyed is always fun. Seeing Bailey happy, you don't want that. Seeing Bailey get annoyed, that's cool, I like that. But I'm sure in this match though there will be plenty of I wanna know if you be my girl. Bailey. I assume that's what they say. I'm not actually too sure. I assume they're saying Bailey at the beginning. Bailey. But they always seem to do that in England for her, because apparently we like her more than even people that are from Britain, even though this isn't Britain, and bear in mind Ireland is not in England, but I'm sure they will make it out of this home country. Becky Lynch. She is, for me, Io Sky and Becky Lynch are probably my 2 that I'm imagining are more likely to win this. I'm not completely even sure why. I think Io Sky's just been going up and up and up, and it would make sense. Just her running down to do some time. But at the same time, it always works a bit better for bad guys too, though. But neither of these obviously are bad guys. But Becky has never had it before, and it would look really good. I think they would love the idea of, when they're being able to talk through the different people that have won the Money in the Bank, to be able to mention Becky Lynch because she's one of the top stars in WWE, let alone the women's division. So, the reason she hasn't been in the Money in the Bank before, for example, or been probably winning the Money in the Bank in the past, is because she's normally been a champion or pregnant. Yeah, that was when she gave it up, was after Money in the Bank. Yeah, I was just correct then. I wasn't insulting her for having children, just to clarify. God would do that. But of course, then at the wild cards, Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark, because they are obviously working together. I've seen the argument for Zoe Stark winning. I believe that is actually what Patrick has put down. It was Zoe Stark for this, and Brian has put down, have a look, Io Sky. So Brian thinks Io Sky will win this, and Patrick has gone for Zoe Starks. Zoe Stark, Io Sky, like I said, definitely, I can see that as being one of the strong two choices. But Zoe Starks, I don't see winning because apparently she's following Trish, so that wouldn't really work, because then Trish would not be happy, and Zoe Starks is, there to help Trish, even though they've kind of said that it would be whoever between them, but I don't think that's true when it comes down to it. But I don't think that will really happen. I don't think that situation will ever come about, because then it kind of muddies the water for that going forward. And the only way that can not happen is if it's definitely if Zoe Starks doesn't win, whereas Trish could win and it would still be okay. Trish winning would be a great show, because as I said, this is her first ever ladder match, full stop. So obviously she's never won the Money in the Bank as well, and she might not have a lot of opportunities to. So it's also another show for the Becky argument of how they want a big name to be able to put on with, when they're going through the list of people that have won Money in the Bank. Trish Stratus being in there is a good name, and this is the only year they could probably do it, whereas Becky Lynch, arguably will be around for many years going forward. You can do it then in the future, say next year or the year after that if she's not champion again. Or you could take the title off her anyway, last minute, whatever, who cares? Do that, and then she'll get Money in the Bank. But you know what? I was going into this with the idea that I was going to pick probably Becky, but I think I've actually, while going through it, I have actually changed my mind. So let's just make this official. Zoe for P, and then for me, I'm going to go for Trish. I think there was a good chance that Trish can win this. Zoe probably will help her, but I think it still works with their stuff as long as Trish is the one who wins that rather than Zoe, and it doesn't muddy the waters too much. They can get past that, carrying on, offer a title shot eventually. Maybe she'll then beat her eventually down the line. Who knows? That could happen, but that's going to be probably not, to be fair. But Trish, I think, winning it just so they can use her name as a former Money in the Bank winner. I think that reason alone is enough of a reason to say Trish could win it. And this didn't really, it always felt like someone was missing until Trish got put in it, personally. I don't know why you would do without Trish in this situation. Now she's back. We don't know how long she'll be back for. She's already been around for a while, so how much longer is she going to be around for? We don't know. I haven't seen any actual contract duration thing come out or anything like that, to my knowledge. So who knows? It could be the last chance. It could be the only chance, and I think it would be smart. It would sound like a Nick Khan thing. He would be very happy about this, and I don't think Triple H would be completely against it. I mean, I remember him being quite a fan of Trish back in the day. Maybe that's why he won't be allowed to do it. Actually, Stephanie will be very unhappy. Oh, who knows? Who knows? Depends where Triple H's testiculars are located at the moment, I guess. We'll have to wait and see. But then after that, you've got well, I don't know if this will close the show. Probably won't, actually. I don't reckon we'll close the show. Could open it. The men's Money in the Bank, which will see Damian Priest, Butch / Pete Dunne. I've heard he might be coming back as Pete Dunne in this, but who knows. Santos Escobar, Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, LA Knight, yeah, and Logan Paul. 7 people in this. Which is why I think there might be somebody added to the women's one, because 7 was what I always remembered. But obviously Logan Paul was the only one who didn't have to qualify, which people were annoyed about that. I thought it was quite cool. Made him seem like more of a douche again. He kind of is, I think, leaning into being a bad guy. He felt like he was trying to be a bit of a good guy as well when he was in his hometown. But you know, that it might just be a CM Punk Chicago thing. Who knows? But whatever you say about Logan Paul, it's going to be very good. Him and Ricochet are going to do some cool stuff. This might be the match though where, you know, Logan Paul's pushing it a bit too far with the stuff that's going on in that match, and he might get hurt in this one. It wouldn't be a shocker. But apparently got hurt before and miraculously healed. Yeah, that was true. I'm sure that was completely true. So going through it, actually I'm going to give you the other guys' predictions first. So Brian is of the opinion that the winner of this will be LA Knight. Yeah. For obvious reasons, I think. Obviously, a lot of people that follow wrestling and must have heard that he is pretty much a hands-on favourite in the back, or he was, in regards to Triple H. Triple H is a fan of apparently LA Knight winning this because of the popularity he's had lately. He's been really getting over really well. And both Brian and Patrick, actually agree that LA Knight will win this. And I want LA Knight to win this as well. Because he's, you know, finally getting over. He's just a great talker. He was almost ruined by the whole Max Dupree. But even then, even in the weeks when he was doing that, he still made that awesome. So he's just one of those talents that I don't think you want to lose, because it's just a matter of time until he really gets off into another level, and I think it could be now. It very much could be. He should win the Money in the Bank. He's not my pick though, because I mean, going through the others first, you got Damian Priest. For everything we said earlier about the Judgment Day, then Damian Priest would be a great shout. He is definitely someone you could imagine. He's right there, you know, to get onto that level. He's had a match against Seth Rollins, which everybody was into. The match against Bad Bunny that he obviously carried completely was a great match. So I think people, you know, in the back have got some faith in Damian Priest. So he could be a shout for it. But with the Judgment Day already being involved in that, you know, in the world title match, I don't know. I don't see Damian Priest coming out of this on top. Butch / Pete Dunne, he ain't never going to win. He is only there because he's English, let's be honest. And he's actually from my home city. I used to see him when I was working. So I should be all into him, because I really like Butch / Pete Dunne. Keep going to call him Pete Dunne. I really like him, yeah. And that's not just because he's from here. I just think I love his presentation. I love the bruiserweight stuff. I like that even now, you know, with this whole the Brawling Brutes stuff, he's still made it his own. He's made himself differentiated from the other two. He could have gone in there doing the same kind of thing, but he's made himself like a silent, angry, constantly wanted to hurt everyone kind of attack person. So that's good. You know, he made himself a character in a thing where he easily could have got, you know, like swallowed up. But no, I don't think he's at the point where if he had the briefcase, I don't think I'd be feeling like he would be successful, and I don't want him to have the briefcase if it just means he's not going to get the title. So no, Pete Dunne is a no. Santos Escobar, just no. Why are you there? Oh, you shouldn't be there. No, I mean, the nicest way. I like what he's doing with the LWO. I'm loving the LWO stuff. Just why are you there? You haven't really done anything lately. Cool. Same with Shinsuke. I mean, obviously, this is just Triple H wanting to push Shinsuke because he likes him. It's been obvious since NXT. He's a fan of Shinsuke. Same with Ricochet. But the problem is they're coming off like years and years and years of horrendous booking by a senile old man that just didn't get them. So it's going to take a heck of a lot, in my opinion, to rehabilitate their image, and I don't think them winning the Money in the Bank will do that. If they manage to take it and then go and win one of the titles, I don't think that will do it. I I don't think that would be the right way to go about it. It's probably the better way to say that. I think there's better ways to go about it where you're not throwing a big thing onto them straight away. And a lot of people that are like, because a lot of people are not into them. Ricochet more so. I think Ricochet has a lot more love than Shinsuke personally. Shinsuke would be struggling a lot more if he didn't have that theme tune, in my opinion. I don't know if that's mean. There's nobody here to tell me that that's mean to say. That's how I feel though. I used to really like him. I hate the freaking suits that he wears as well, Shinsuke, now. I just don't like these things. I used to like his old look, with the red trousers, the red thing around his arm. Now he just looks like he's constantly in pyjamas. Ricochet, on the other hand, though, he stopped caring for a bit. He used to wear just like jeans to the ring and that. But he's like, since his thing with Strowman, you could see he's been like motivated more again, probably since Triple H has been around. So him out of the two, he will, because he could come out of this looking quite good, do some good spots with Logan Paul. I don't see him winning still, but I think he's the one whose image will be rehabilitated much better in the long run. Shinsuke, I don't know. I'm not sure about still. LA Knight, he doesn't have that issue, luckily. He's just someone's just kind of appeared more so in the mainstream WWE, and everyone's only just kind of clocking on to, what he is, who he is, what he can do more than anything, and it's already working more than it ever did with Shinsuke and Ricochet, which obviously is hard to kind of compare because they were obviously pushed via Vince McMahon. But yeah, for all those reasons, no. LA Knight, I would like him to win, but I don't see that. My actual pick for to win the Money in the Bank is, I think, Logan Paul, because LA Knight, I want LA Knight to win. I feel so wrong saying Logan Paul over LA Knight. I don't like it. I'm not happy with it. I want LA Knight to win. Yeah, but Logan Paul, think about this. He wins a briefcase, doesn't cash it in for almost a full year probably. But in that full year, he could have it every week on the Impulsive. He could just have it in the background. That's the biggest podcast in the world. As much as people may not like him as a person, apparently a lot of people like to listen to him because it's a huge podcast. So him having a WWE logoed Money in the Bank behind him constantly, why would WWE not like that? That's why they put their logo on everything, is to get it out there and seen more. Having it on the biggest podcast in the world on the backdrop on the video version. I mean, that is enough reason alone. But him just being able to constantly put a tweet out saying, I might appear with Raw tonight, and he gets a lot of traction. When he is there, you're expecting something could happen. It's obviously there's a lot of downsides if they need a last minute Money in the Bank cash in because something goes wrong, or there's an injury, etc. They won't have that availability like they will if there was, say, an LA Knight that had the briefcase, or etc. Insert name here, a full-time athlete. Logan Paul obviously very part-time, as expected. That's the only issue, but I think WWE can work around that though. I mean, we've seen before that there's ways around things, and they just throw in a title match, they throw together a tournament or something for it. There's other ways around it. So yeah, I don't think that reason should stop it in the eyes of Triple H. Apparently Triple H, from what I've heard, is not into the idea of Logan Paul winning, but Nick Khan will be, and let's be honest, Vince McMahon will be. That's also another thing I've heard. And if Vince is into the idea, he is the one with final say on creative. They're more just trying to figure out ways to work around that, because he's not always there. He'll kind of appear last minute sometimes and say no, this big thing I want to happen like this. This is a big thing that could happen for the company. And I understand the logic, to be honest. I don't like it, but I think it might be the right move. But that's with the preface that LA Knight needs to be focused on still. It needs to be pushed. They need to take advantage of how hot he's got in this moment. I wouldn't be against him being a mid-card champ though as well. Because it's easy to... A lot of people say this when there's somebody really hot. They'll say, you need to put the title on him and that, but then there'll be like 5 or 6 other people there saying, oh yeah, but you need to put the title on them. I don't think they realise you can't put the title on them all at the same time. Doesn't work. So if LA Knight's going to instantly win the title, that's going to mean that Seth Rollins going to go. He's not going to be champion. Finn Balor's not going to be doing anything. Insert names, etc. It doesn't always work as well as we want it to, but you can keep it going and do a lot of stuff so that you can, it's still hot when the time comes, when they find a point where it will work, where it doesn't feel forced, because a lot of the time it can just feel forced to, and give it more time, because it might get even more and more over. It might start getting like the Daniel Bryan treatment, and then you could look at the Rumble, for example. It's a good time now, do it for another like 6 months. Royal Rumble there, there's no Royal Rumble, and then goes for the not main event of like night 1 or something, because I just imagine he wouldn't go against Roman for some reason. I imagine he would go for the world title, which I think is a better fit for him, to be honest. He's more workhorse, etc. He's always there. I think he's willing to be a workhorse from what I've seen. So yeah, be a good fit, but I just don't think this Saturday will be when he gets the briefcase to start that journey properly. I don't think it will be. If it wasn't for Logan Paul, then I would probably say that he is the one that I would go for, and not just that I want, because he is the one that I want to win this. I'm making that point over and over because I want to freaking specify this. I want LA Knight, yeah. But I think it's going to be Logan Paul, and I get the reason. But either way, it's going to be a banging match. Ricochet, Logan Paul are going to do some great things. There's even been talks about LA Knight if after this having a little feud with Logan Paul. So if Logan Paul sticks around for a bit and he has the briefcase as well, and LA Knight having a bit of a thing with him, that would be a great way to make good for LA Knight on everything that's going on still. But also, go over to Logan Paul. I mean, if they really wanted to, they could have a match and take it off him, like, a month or so down the line. But then at least the Money in the Bank would have been on Impulsive for like a month straight or something. Not the worst idea. Yeah, you could do that, and then you could have a match and drop it to LA Knight, and then LA Knight carries on if you really wanted to do that in the long run. When they know that, they should know that they can do what they want. It's their company. So for that, all those reasons, I think it's just more likely Logan Paul, and I can't even say that I think it's the wrong choice. I get it fully. It's definitely not the wrong. Business-wise, it's the right choice. Creative-wise, no. I think I'd prefer LA Knight. Well, creative-wise, maybe as well though, because like I said, I feel like LA Knight getting the. I think I prefer LA Knight getting a proper build to getting it and earn it a bit more, rather than just get the Money in the Bank and then cash the title I'm on about, rather than just get the briefcase and then cash it in randomly, which he probably would do. The heel in that I know is a bad guy, but I don't know. Who knows? But that's probably it that is it for the predictions then in that case. I will be back on Wrestling with Egos again. The next episode will be me and Patrick Swafford, I believe. Brian is still unable to join us this week, but the next one. But I believe he will be then back the week after that. I, of course, generally don't have anything else to do when we're recording the podcast, because for them it's like 8 on the night or something. For me, it's 3 a.m. So, generally speaking, I'm not doing anything else, because there is nothing to do at 3 a.m. And there is sometimes stuff to do at 3 a.m. and I sometimes do that in between too, but that doesn't stop me from doing the podcast now, does it? Makes it more fun, if anything. God knows what I'm talking about now, though. Yeah, drinking or doing drugs, that'd be terrible. Shouldn't do that. That's wrong. Even though one in particular that I'm talking about isn't illegal, where my co-hosts live, and a lot of people in the world live. We're one of the few that still demonise marijuana, England or the UK. We're still one of the ones that demonise marijuana, despite the fact we are actually the biggest exporter of marijuana in the world. Because basically they demonise it, because if everyone over here was able to smoke it and it was legal, they wouldn't make as much money as they would now selling it overseas and exporting it. That is a business decision that I am not down for. That one, I will say that. That's a business decision that needs to get taken away, and we need creative in. But this is the end. This is the end. My only friend, the end. But I will love you and leave you right now. But if you want to know what I'm doing, if you're in England, for example, and around the London area, I have many gigs coming up over the next couple of months in London. And I believe the 11th, 12th of July. I think there's one further in the month, and then a few in August. But I've got a lot of other stuff coming up too, and I will be getting more stuff coming up because it's just a constant get the next thing, do this, do that. You can't help it when you're a comedic genius. But Hollybush as well, you can always check out what's going on down there. I'm down there quite a lot myself too. It's a great place for comedy around the Midlands, the hub for all of comedy around the Midlands, the Hollybush. Always check that out. You can see myself, as I said, on kdcomedy.com, all the list of stuff that I'll be doing, or KD Comedy on Facebook if the website hasn't been updated because I've been broke and haven't been able to pay that, so I'll do that when I'm able to. So that's probably the case right now, I think. But Facebook, you can get all the information on there, KD Comedy. There's also KD Comedy on YouTube, KD Comedy on Spotify, Apple. You can go on there, check out the KD Comedy podcast where me and either I do episodes where I'm interviewing another comedian, where we just chat back and forth, talk about different things, plenty of them, or the Squishy Logic episodes where me and comedian Nathan Parrish sit down and discuss a bit more, in-depth topics or more interesting stuff. Sometimes we just chat about all random stuff too, but that's our little the other shows. So you can get either episodes of the KD Comedy Podcast, there's episodes of the KD Comedy Podcast available right now via KD Comedy Podcast on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher. These are all of them with Squishy Logic episodes included within them. Episode 104 is about to come out, I believe, or come out by the time you're watching this, so go and check it out on there. It's the Little Dick Energy Detectives is the new episode that's come out this week. Me and Nathan, Squishy Logic boys, we do a few things, and we also figure out who has big dick energy, who has little dick energy, and who has lip dick energy. Maybe a comedian that doesn't like me, that was sitting in front of me at a gig that I did just before this podcast that we recorded, and I was having fun telling Nathan all about how I insulted the man, got it on videotape. Not too much insulted him, that'd be wrong, I wouldn't do too much, but I mean, I didn't insult him actually, that's not true at all. Gave him the eye whenever I was doing my insulty material. I just looked at him straight while doing this. That's a better way to put it. I'm only mentioning this now because we're almost there an hour, and if I chatted a bit more poo for like the last, 20-30 seconds, and it would push it up to over an hour, which it will do now actually, because I just remembered there's the jingle that goes in there too. So this is the end of the show then, guys. I am pumped for Money in the Bank in London. It means that I can watch wrestling at a reasonable time rather than 1 in the morning. If I'm going to watch it live, I can watch this about like 7 p.m. I'm assuming it'll be on, banging. And the London, England crowd are always a great crowd. We go crazy for stuff, probably because most of us are drunk while we're in there. But that's the point. It's fun, merriment. That's what we do over here. We drink and be merry, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of that going on in the O2 Arena, and then in Wembley in 2 months for AEW, of course. I think this will be the better show out of the two, in all honesty, though. But yeah, that is the end of it. You will see Patrick and Brian very soon. They will be back. I will be back, of course, in the next episode with Patrick, as I said. But for now, I hope you all enjoy Money in the Bank. I hope you enjoy whatever you're doing. I hope everyone enjoys Eid, that celebrates it, and all of this type of content, these type of matches, these type of events, such as the London events, such as Money in the Banks. It's stuff like this which is why we love wrestling. I did it. See, I remembered the ending. I remembered it. Wabadoo. Yeah. You're welcome, Patrick. You're welcome, Brian. I remembered it. Yeah.